Of these 8 fallen heroes as Ghana awaits the outcome of investigations to unravel the cause of Wednesday's helicopter crash. Hundreds of mourners flock to the Jubilee House to take part in a solemn floral tribute. We'll go there shortly and hear from Ghana's former High Commissioner to the UK, Ambassador Victor Smith, who's speaking to journalists right now.
And then hell broke loose. I left the Jubilee House. I didn't want to stand there. I was feeling stressed. I had to go into my car for a while to calm down. Why should this happen to us at this time? So it's a major tragedy for our country. And I pray to God that nothing of this sort should happen again. Some people are on social media saying all manner of things. It pains me that this social media thing is trying to destroy the world. Everybody gets up and says anything at all because it's social media.
But talking about social media,
other people are predicting that the worst is yet to come. Who are they? Why?
Yes, so talking about social media, one of the issues that has come up is about how we shouldn't politicize this. The Chief Justice was here earlier, makes that point. Dr. Baumia, Napo, and the rest of them. Do you share in those sentiments?
No, when we say politicization, we're talking partisanship. Every time it is party A, party B. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is when somebody can open their mouth and say, the worst is coming. What is coming? Why do we live in a country we want to develop and make progress, and people are preaching doom? Why? Some people say, oh, we said it was going to happen. Who are you? Are you God? Please, let us come together as a people, one people, and make progress. Is that what people are doing in America, predicting doom all the time? We shouldn't.
What do you expect to be done?
And a lot of, mostly the people who go into the pulpit, the preacher people, they go there and they are always, every end of the year, they're predicting who's going to die and who's going to do the why. Why don't we say, oh, we're going to make money as a nation and become bigger than we are? You should be preaching that rather than negative stuff all the time. And there's a competition who predicted what. Exactly. You've seen it in social media. And now others are predicting the worst to come. Why should we go through that as a people? If they said the Pope and the rest have said it, yes, it's sad. The president, it hurts me, that he's going through hell. He's suffering. He's suffering because these are his men, people he's working with. These people. If they said the Pope and the rest have said it, yes, it's sad. The president, it hurts me, that he's going through hell. He's suffering. He's suffering because these are his men, people he's working with. These are relatively young people who haven't quite gotten anywhere in life. Suddenly they just disappeared from this earth. We pray that the right things be done. And I also pray, I don't know what caused the accident or the crash. Yes, it's the investigation. But I pray that we just make sure that equipment and stuff like that, vehicles and things, we should maintain them properly so we don't have some of these things which are due to mechanical or vehicle defects. We should try and ensure that we have good equipment, flying equipment, aircraft, helicopters, what have you. Make resources available so we have the right spare parts and stuff to fit our vehicles so they don't crash.
Maybe just briefly, talking about the aircraft and all of that, calls for a new presidential jet and retooling of the aviation sector.
Look, if we need an aircraft, we should make sure that it is serviceable. It's an aircraft that will not go and crash us. The last thing we want, can you imagine if an accident involved the president? We will not be sitting here talking like this. There will be chaos in our country that somebody has gone and done it to the president. We don't want to go there. And then we thank God that we're not in that situation, but we learn some lessons from what has happened to us as a people. Very tragic, very sad indeed. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so that has been Ghana's former High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Victor Smith, has shared some great words. See, it is all one message, that the right measures be put in place, that we shouldn't record this again, ever again, going forward. And also the fact that this is not time. And also, even what he talks about. And so what it means is that all of those, once this happens, it is a big blow to him. Already you've had, and the tendency by some prophets, some men of God, so to speak, to be sort of competing amongst themselves. There was one thing that came up earlier in the day about the need for the country to also support the president, because these are people to fill in the spot of the defense and the environment ministers. And so that is the message right now from here. Back to you in studio.
That ceremony is taking place right now, and we have a number of people who have visited this particular site. It's a solemn period of reflection, a floral tribute taking place the Jubilee Gardens at the Jubilee House, and Christian Yale will be connecting with us again when we have a lot more people as well, dignitaries who are there to also pay their last respect to the fallen heroes, the 8 gallant Ghanaians. And the President John Dramani Mahama yesterday evening spoke about this for the first time, giving some details of how the coming days will look like. Today is day 2 of the 3-day national mourning in memory of these 8 gallant Ghanaians, and a number of people also sharing their fond memories of them. But while we're at it, the nation continues to be immersed in deep mourning as Ghanaians flock to the Jubilee House to take part in the solemn floral tribute to what has now become known as the fallen 8 heroes. The atmosphere is heavy with grief, yet also filled with a shared sense of unity as citizens from all walks of life come to pay their last respect. Now, since morning, the forecourt of the seat of government has become a focal point for collective sorrow, where flowers, prayers, and silent tears speak louder than words. Our team of reporters at the Jubilee House, we've been hearing Christian Yale and also Komla Kluche will be connecting with us as we go on, but the investigations are progressing into the tragic incident, with authorities trying to piece together the circumstances that led to the fatal military helicopter crash. President Mahama, during a night broadcast last night, announced the setting up of a board of inquiry to establish the cause of the crash. The president also confirmed that the flight data and cockpit voice recorders had been recovered from the crash site to aid the investigations. Let's take a listen to the president last night on the investigation into this crash.
Gallant men each served Ghana with distinction. And as we mourn, questions about the cause of this tragedy are only natural and important. And I want to assure the families and the nation that the Ghana Armed Forces has initiated a full and transparent investigation into the circumstances of this crash. An investigative board of inquiry has been set up to investigate the cause of the crash. The flight data and cockpit voice recorders have both been retrieved. All 8 of the bodies of our departed comrades have been retrieved, and the government is in close touch with the bereaved families about identification of the bodies and final interment. In this moment of national grief, let us remember that we are above all Ghanaians, united not just by our nationality, but by our shared hope, our shared humanity, and now our shared sorrow. Let us set aside our differences and offer our collective compassion to the bereaved families. This is not a time for division, speculation, or political point scoring. It is a time for strength, for empathy, and for the enduring Ghanaian spirit that still stands tall when all else has failed.
As the President John Dramani Mahama there now giving details as well of what the next steps will be. A number of persons have been speaking to this. Retired Air Force Officer Wing Commander Patrick Sobojo is urging investigators probing the crash to focus on what could have caused the chopper to fly so low. He explained that although helicopters generally operate at low altitudes, collisions with tall objects are nearly impossible unless the aircraft is experiencing a major malfunction. He spoke on TV3 New Day earlier today.
If you look at this particular incident, I don't think any pilot will plan a flight unless this is a specific instructions given you. I don't also think they will have any tree in Ghana here which is about 1,000, 2,000 feet. You understand me? So definitely you'll be flying above that one, but you will not go and fly a treetop. You understand me? You will not do that. So I think what you have to find out, what happened for the airplane to have come down to hit an aircraft or the rotor to touch. Because helicopter, the power to be in the air is the rotors on top of it. That gives you lift. But to lose height and come and hit it, what happened? It could be mechanical. It could be pilot fault, but the pilots are giving a taxi in reference to their qualification. The aircraft in this situation is an all-weather aircraft. The pilots flying are all master grade that they fly in all weather. They fly in the night too. So what we have to wait to find out what happened for the plane to descend, in order to go and hit a tree. And once it hits a tree, it will crash. If you are lucky that you are around a village, a school, you can go and land there. But if there's nothing there, you are just over the forest, because you may have a mechanical or electrical problem, which the aircraft is losing power. A helicopter cannot sustain itself in the air for a long time. Sometimes they do what they call hovering, where they can hover. But that time they have power to stay in the air. But if they are losing power, they will start dropping like a stone. And the pilot, in all cases, will do his best thing. He doesn't want to die. He'll do his best thing to try and survive and save passengers. But if this thing happens, unfortunately, over forest area, and then you are coming down, and there's nowhere to that, then this crash is bound to happen.
That's the retired Air Force officer, Wing Commander Patrick Sogbojo, urging investigators probing the crash to focus on what could have caused the chopper to fly so low. And we got information about this helicopter flying at a relatively lower altitude from our man on the ground, Ibrahim Abubakar, on the day of this rather unfortunate incident. Ibrahim is joining us on the telephone right now. Ibrahim, and you heard the retired Air Force Officer Wing Commander Patrick Sogbojo there talking about how low the altitude of this crashed aircraft or the helicopter was before the incident, before the crash happened. Now, he says that should be a point of focus for the investigators. Just refresh our minds what the residents of this Brofidru area told you in terms of the observation of how low this helicopter was flying before the crash.
Well, Alfred, for them, they said it was abnormally low when the helicopter got to Sikamai. They were even thinking that the helicopter is likely to have an emergency landing in there because it has happened before, and they were expecting the helicopter to land because of how low it has come, only for them to see it moving. And it was moving towards that forest, heading to Obuasi, and within some seconds, they heard the crash and also another blast following. So some of them say they believe that, and that day it has been raining consistently since morning up to that time. And for that matter, the weather was a bit foggy. And they believe that maybe because it came low and it was going through the forest, and because of the foggy nature of the weather, it's possible it may have crash a tree or even the rock, because the place is a mountainous forest. So that has been the observation so far.
Now, one other troubling development as well was with these residents, some of them taking the debris, parts of this crashed helicopter home because they said they wanted to keep it for souvenir or some sort of memory of what had happened in there. You told me last night that you appealed to a number of them to return the parts to the crash site because it would form exhibits for the investigation as well. The police also intercepted a few of them as well. We understand that you have to go back to the community to appeal to those having these parts in their homes to return them. What's the latest on this?
Well, Alfred, after discussing the issue extensively last night, the Member of Parliament for the area, Joseph Azuma, and also the DC for the area reached out, and they said they were not aware people have been taking part of the helicopter home. So this morning, they went to the community, and first of all, they just had to go there and commend the community for assisting in retrieving the bodies. Afterwards, they spoke to the chiefs and appealed to the youth to bring out any item that they have picked from the crash site. As we know, yesterday we saw in the visual people carrying parts of the chopper. Others who were told even picked belongings of the victims from the site. And after this engagement, in fact, the Member of Parliament confirmed that there were people who came forward who brought some of the items, and even to the extent of one person coming and handing over a watch that he picked from the crash site to them. So for now, they have handed the items to the military because as I speak to you, security forces remain stationed in the community. They are still enforcing a strict ban on farming in nearby forest zones, and they are collecting all the debris, including all helicopter parts and also other critical evidence. We are told that they will be moving all those evidence to Accra for further investigation. But earlier we spoke to the Member of Parliament for the area, Joseph Azuma. Let's listen to what he has been saying.
As a Member of Parliament, I came to Nananom, though we've been coming here since the day, but because it was an emergency situation, we didn't get the opportunity to meet Nananom and sit and decide on certain issues. So we came today to thank them for the cooperation that they've given so far. I think when it happened, they were the people who first went to the scene, and they really cooperated well. They gave us and the security all the necessary support. So I deem it fit and a very great honor to come and say thank you to them, and also then advise them for them to talk to those who pick something from the or anything from the incident site, so that they'll bring them back. We were watching news yesterday, and that one concern was that some who first visited the scene picked some let's say pieces of. So it was something that we thought wise to come and talk to them, do announcement, so that if there was something they picked from the scene, they can return it to also assist for the investigation that they need to conduct. We're happy that one of them brought a watch that he picked from the site or the scene. We have handed over to the leader of the team, the armed force team, who are currently here, and that we also assisted the Nananom with something small. At least people are coming every minute or every minute. You have to give them water and other things to also, at least as custom demand. So that's why we came as a team, myself and the DC. So far, they've reported that they are living here peacefully with the security team. They've not been harassed or in any way, be intimidated in any way. So they are not having any issues with the presence of the military here. And that we've also encouraged them that they should continue to cooperate, and that as government and as a member of parliament, there are little we can do to support them, especially for those that cannot access their farms or go to their farms because of the restrictions. Also take into consideration how we can also take care of them for the short time until the ban or the restriction is lifted.
Well, so that's the Member of Parliament for the Akrofrom constituency. And Ibrahim, this is instructive because last night when we spoke on Ghana Tonight on TV3, when you gave this detail of some of the residents there taking parts of this crashed helicopter home because they wanted to keep them, and the police had intercepted some of them and asked them to return them, it was clear that some may have taken some of them home without the notice of the Ghana Police Service. And that's when we had that appeal. We made that appeal last night for any of the residents who had any of these debris of the crashed helicopter to return them. And it's good to know that the Member of Parliament was also watching us last night and followed up on this exclusive detail that you gave to us. Now, did the community respond accordingly? Beyond this one that we're hearing, that someone who had taken a watch at the crash site returned it this afternoon?
Well, exactly. For the local leaders have even reinforced the message to the community and even issued warning that failure to comply could lead to some consequence. So they have been telling the youth that if you know you've picked any item at the crash site, you need to return it. So maybe hopefully in the coming days, everybody will bring whatever he or she has picked. Because mind you, it wasn't even only the helicopter part, but we are even learning that some personal items belonging to the victims were picked at the site. And we are hearing one person has returned a watch. So we are just hoping that in the coming days, they bring all of these things, because they've been told that even the smallest item recovered will be vital to determining the cause of the crash, and they are adhering to it. So, like we said, the military will be at site until they collect all debris before leaving. So it's possible they may be there for some number of days before leaving the site entirely.
Ibrahim, great job done on this, and I know that you're keeping tabs on the happenings in the community, and so I will definitely connect with you again. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti regional correspondent. He has been stationed at this Brofiedu community since the crash happened. In fact, he was detailed to cover that event that the fallen heroes were attending, and so the moment we got notice of this incident, he had to move to the crash site, and we got that detail of some of the residents taking some of the parts home, and we got them on video. We made it available to the authorities last night on TV3 on Ghana Tonight, and we're learning this morning that the Member of Parliament for Akrofrom followed up, went to the community, he made that appeal, and a watch that was picked at this crash site has been returned. Let's go on to the telephone now, and veteran journalist and managing editor of the Inside newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr. is joining us on the telephone. Kwesi, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Oh, good evening, sir.
It's good to have you. Now, I start off from where I just ended, hearing that now some of the residents in this Brofiedu community who, out of ignorance, picked some of the items they saw at the crash site home, have responded to the appeal that we've been making here on 3FM and TV3 that they should return them, because we had some of them captured on video by a correspondent who is in the area as we speak, spending the last 72 hours there, that they took some of these crushed parts of the helicopter home because they wanted to keep them. Uncle.
I mean, under any circumstance, that is to be expected. A lot of people would like to keep some of the items as mementos. Others would like to keep some of them just for curiosity and so on. And it's important that when the appeal was made, these items have been returned. I do hope, or want to hope, that it would aid the authorities in the investigations, and it will help us all to establish the cause of the crash. So it's a good thing that they are returning these items.
And I do know that these persons that we have lost, gallant Ghanaians who died in the line of duty, you had direct connection to a number of them. If you could kindly share the fond memories that you had with the late Dr. Omane Boama and Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, please?
Well, I knew quite a lot of them, and I knew them so personally. I knew Omani when he was president of the National Union of Ghana Students, at a time when he had a disagreement with the government over the disbursement of GET Fund. And we worked together. I assisted him. I was working with the newspaper, and I assisted him put his message across. It was also around that time that we formed the Committee for Joint Action. And we wanted to make sure that it didn't look like an NDC, outpost. We wanted it to look like a broad national organization. So we wanted people from the New Patriotic Party and other political parties to join us in forming the Committee for Joint Action. Omani then was a member of the New Patriotic Party. He was indeed a card-bearing member of the New Patriotic Party. And I sought permission from the other organizers and managed to persuade him to read the first press statement of the Committee for Joint Action. And that eventually led to his being recruited into the NDC. So I've worked very closely with him from about 2009, thereabout, until his death. We worked very closely. He's a very hardworking gentleman, very dedicated, committed to the national cause. Even the fact that he could disagree with his own political party then and state so publicly is a statement about who he was and so on. So I've known Omani very, very well. Worked with him under many circumstances and so on. I've also known Murtala Mohammed quite well. Dr. Murtala Mohammed was a very good friend of mine. I knew him in his days at the university, and eventually he became a regular participant on some of the panel discussion programs that I was on. He was a regular feature on Alaji and Alaji, and also on the morning show of Pan-African Television. And he was very articulate, no doubt at all. He was very articulate and very passionate about the causes that he believed in. Murtala had a certain level of modesty, which was also quite inspiring. For example, you do know that he did not want to be referred to as honorable. He preferred the title comrade to honorable. And he spoke his mind. He was very articulate. He spoke his mind. He was very punctual when it came to participating in this program. Now, he did something which was very, very interesting for me. After he had been nominated, normally what happens is that people, when they get nominated for ministerial positions and so on, refuse to participate in radio programs. They want to keep away. They don't want any controversy and so on. But Murtala, after he had been nominated as minister in the current administration, kept coming. And one day I asked him why. And he said, well, being a minister was important, but it was not the most important thing in the world. And that he still wanted to participate in the discussion program. So he kept coming. And after his nomination, he continued coming and participating in the programs and so on. So I liked him. I liked him a lot. He was modest. He was deeply intellectual. And he loved his country and so on. So that's what I knew about Dr. Murtala Mohammed. The other person I knew quite well was Alaji Minuru, whom I met first as Northern Regional Minister. I visited Tamale to go and see A.B.A. Fuseni, who was then the Deputy Minister, and he introduced me to his boss, Minuru, who was the minister. And since then, we've been in touch. He's married to a friend's sister. And I've been to his house on several occasions. I've met him in several places. We have ate together. He's also a very nice gentleman, not very modest too. I mean, exceedingly modest. And it's a pity that we've had to lose him, at this time. I didn't even know that he was Deputy National Security Coordinator. I didn't know that at all, even though I knew that he was very, very influential in the National Democratic Congress and was very close to President John Dramani Mahama. I never knew that he had been appointed Deputy National Security Coordinator. The last time I met him was about 3 months ago when we had lunch together, and he'll be greatly missed, I also happen to know Dr. Sapon quite well, first as Ashanti Regional Minister, and anytime I visited Kumasi, I went to him and we had conversations about the national situation and so on. Eventually, he got transferred as Regional Minister, I think, for the Western or Central region. And even thereafter, I used to visit him. Of course, everybody who knows him knows that he was sober, he was committed to national aspirations, and he did his best. And it will surprise you that even though I kept in touch with him and so on, I didn't know that he was Deputy Chairman of the National Democratic Congress until he passed away. So these are people that I knew quite well, engaged with on a number of occasions, and who feel their loss greatly. I've never met any of the Air Force officers and the soldiers involved in the crash. Never. But it's not important.
Indeed.
What is important is that they died serving Ghana, they died in the line of duty, and they died in the effort to deal with Galamsey, which has become a very huge menace, national menace, I want to hope that they would not have died in vain. I want to hope that their death will spur us on to wage a relentless struggle against Galamsey, and that ultimately we'll be victorious in this fight against Galamsey, which has caused many problems for us. As we speak, over the last couple of years, cocoa production has gone down by more than 50%. And the experts say that one of the reasons why cocoa production has gone down so drastically is Galamsey. So we need to fight Galamsey with all the things that we can marshal, and we need to defeat Galamsey, at least in honor of these men who lost their lives in this helicopter crash.
It's a very, very important call. And the president has also talked about a full-scale investigation into this, in addition to that call you make about honoring their memory with a ruthless fight against Galamsey in this country. What are you expecting in the outcome of this particular investigation? In what form should it take, essentially?
Well, every plane crash anywhere in the world is investigated. It's not new. I mean, you couldn't say that this plane crash should not be investigated. Every plane crash in every part of the world is investigated. So I'm not surprised that this is going to be investigated. We need to investigate it to establish the full facts, to enable us to have an informed reaction as citizens and also as government. What is it that caused it? Is it a fault on the aircraft? What is it? Is it the training of the pilot? Is it sabotage? Whatever it is, we need to know so that we can avert such incidents in the future. Look, what happened is a tragedy of monumental proportions. What a way to die. I mean, what a way to die. My brother, any human being, who has his head on his neck, who feel the pain, who feel the agony. What a way to die. You wake up in the morning and you tell your family you're going to Obuasi, you'll be back in the evening, you're going to work. And then all of a sudden on social media, all of a sudden on radio and television, you're gone. And you're gone under these very, very painful circumstances. That's a tragedy. That's a huge tragedy. And I'm so alarmed that in spite of this national tragedy, there are very few people who are seeking to play very, very silly political games with this tragedy. Very silly political games with this tragedy. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know why their humanity is gone. You know, that's a huge problem. That we have people in this country who seek our mandate to lead us. And when there's such a national tragedy, they can descend into the gutter and say some of the things that I'm hearing. It's so outrageous and unbelievable.
And the president put it right, that in honoring their memory, the politics of this is so unnecessary. It shouldn't even indeed be countenanced in any way, shape, or form. And we've seen the communications minister as well appeal to members of the general public to desist from the sharing of some of these gory videos of the crash site, as we saw across social media. Some have also called for some measures beyond just appeal to, as it were, stem that act of sharing these videos. Is it one that you support, please?
Listen, it depends on what you think politics is. As far as I'm concerned, politics is about the utilization of our resources, you know, to resolve the concrete problems that faces the Ghanaian people. So to that extent, there's politics in everything. For example, should we continue to buy these helicopters? When we buy the helicopters, how should we train our pilots and so on? All of that is politics. Should we investigate the crash? Shouldn't we investigate the crash and so on? All of that is politics. But we need to make a distinction between healthy, productive politics and banal, nonsensical, egoistic, foolish politics. So what I condemn is those who want to twist the facts, is those who want to deepen the pain of the bereaved family, those who want to insult our national conscience, those who are doing baseless analysis and so on in order to score cheap political points. That's what I'm worried about. You understand? That's what I'm really worried about. You know.
Kwesi, I do appreciate you for all this, and I thank you so much. And condolences to us all. It's a good one.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's a veteran journalist and managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr. is the one you just heard me speak to here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. He has been reflecting on his relationship with a number of the fallen heroes, these gallant Ghanaians we have lost in the line of duty, and calling on the authorities to use this as a launch pad to wage a ruthless war against Galamsey to honor the memory of these fallen heroes. But my colleague Komla Kluche also spoke to founder of the NDC, Ato Ahoy, who also did talk about how he played a key role in getting the late Dr. Edward Omanebwama to the NDC. Take a listen.
All I can say is that he was a very good man. He was my personal doctor. He was my son. He was my friend, brother, everything. And it's unfortunate that he's had to leave us so soon to wherever he's going. But we will all be there one day.
How did you get him to be a part of the NDC?
By talking to him and convincing him. Telling him that it was a better party to be in than whichever party he was in already.
What has Ghana lost in him and also the other comrades that belongs to the NDC?
Lost good people who should have been around to see the success of the second NDC. It was a better party to be in than whichever party he was in already.
What has Ghana lost in him and also the other comrades that belongs to the NDC?
Lost good people who should have been around to see the success of the second NDC.
The passing of valued members.
3 FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's go on to the telephone. A security analyst who's been following how this crash has been unfolding in many ways, and the latest, topping it up with the update from the president's speech last night, and then also the full-scale investigation that has been launched into what could have led to this crash that has led to the death of 8 gallant Ghanaians in the line of duty. Richard Commando is joining us. Mr. Commando, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alfred.
Last night when we spoke, you made that passionate appeal to the residents in this Brofidro, Sikaman area, who may have taken parts of this crashed helicopter home ignorantly, to return them. This evening, we are getting an update that a member of parliament did watch you last night. The member of parliament for the Akrofrom constituency, Joseph Azuma, followed up on that appeal, met the residents, appealed to them, and a watch that was taken from the crash site has been returned. Mr. Kumado.
That's a good one. Kudos to him. He has done what is expected to be done. I think as a nation, our preparedness for national emergencies have not been put up properly. And it has created problems for us. Otherwise, right from day one, he is a local community authority. When the crash occurs and they are moving to the site, he should be one of the people who should be involved. Wherever he is, either he delegates somebody or he himself as an MP who speaks for the people should have been there. And they could have collaborated much better. Having said that, this is a good show, and we need to thank him, and we need to congratulate him, and we need to commend him. And all other MPs, assemblymen, BCEs, MCs need to learn from his good character, and I think we will take it from there.
Now, in what form should the investigation take that the president talked about yesterday?
Nene, you see, the frontline investigators who want to collaborate evidence. And so picking something from the crime site creates problems. And we all know it's a known knowledge that the crime site could be contaminated and could be influenced negatively by people who entered and whatever form it took. So there we were asking the first responders who got to the site, where were the body bags and the issue about how our brothers were carried. However they were carried, in whichever form and nature, it has influence on the expected outcomes of the DNA and the forensic test. Because you know why? The investigators in South Africa are not only testing for identities of the 8 people, but they are also testing for specific outcomes that will take us to the nature of death and the manner of death, which will collaborate whatever is left off at crime site, which is the crime scene for now. So when you take something out of it, you create a problem for us. Even though the crime scene department of the Ghana Police Service, with their technical abilities, can't get to the scene and reconstruct the crime scene, taking something out of it will create problems. Now, to answer the question specifically, investigations are going to be on 4 levels. The history of the aircraft, procedure and standard protocol for flight. Analia, the captain, is somebody who has flown these choppers all over the years and has flown VIPs and VVIPs across the length and breadth of this country. So he's not a novice. Chum just returned from China, and among all the Africans who went for the training, he came number 1. So these are people who are not novices. So they're going to examine the aircraft. Then they will test the procedure, whether Mensah, who is the technical professor, actually did what he's supposed to do. Then you look at the personality on the flight. Then you will look at externality, whether they had an engine failure, whether something happened to the aircraft, and how and why and when, whatever happened. These are the terms the investigators will be looking at. To the extent that it has taken a national dimension, they will look at it broadly, and they will come up with an investigative outcome that will make recommendations to the president, who is the chief of commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, very convincing to take certain precautionary and protective measures going forward.
Now, and you did indicate, a big part earlier, that the investigation could also track where the pilots and others were, and the crew and all on board were maybe a day or two before, a week before. How relevant is this?
Relevant because you see the conspiracy theorists have gone ahead of all of us, and they are on social media creating all kind of imagination. So there's governance issue, there's a political issue, there's a democratic issue, and there's security intelligence issue. So you want to be clear, and you want your mind to be clear that there are no conspiracies and there are no, suicidal missions, and there are no sabotarian people who want to get the chopper down because of specific people. And these are all prepositions and presumptions on the table. So for investigators, they will look at all this and they will find out whether our brothers on the chopper, both the politicians and the crew members, do not have some specific tendencies and peculiar phenomena that affect their persona on the day and what actually happened. So I was happy again after that we found a black box. My uncle, Wing Commander Sogbajo, confirmed, and some other people confirmed, that this particular chopper has the 2 recording compartments. So the recorders will tell us the conversations in the among the pilots and whatever conversations was happening. Then we also pick the data conversation side of things before the black box, which will eventually be sent to the manufacturer. So this is the way we look at it, and we call it investigative touchable places. That you will touch as many places as possible and expand it. So when you are coming down to your conclusions and recommendations, you will tap yourself and say you have done a good job.
I appreciate your thoughts on this as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Richard Commodore, security analyst. Now we sat with statesman and founding member of the New Patriotic Party, Kwame PNM, has also been paying glowing tribute to the crash victims. He is, however, asking President Mahama to use this unfortunate incident as a basis to ruthlessly deal with Galamsey. He spoke exclusively to Beatrice Edu earlier today.
It's with a heavy heart that we hear of this national tragedy. I think our condolences first go to all of us as a nation, to our president and head of government, and to him as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and the security agencies, and of course to the CDS and its commanders, especially the Air Force commander, for their losses. I know Dr. Omane Boama. I saw him first as a young, very eager, passionate student trying to enter politics. Him and Honorable Ablakwa started out with us as NPP aspirants, very strong for democracy and human rights. And Honorable Munuri used to come here. He was probably more passionate about the second coming of President Mahama than most of the
used to come here in this house.
This house. He's a personal friend. He used to come here. So it's a great loss, nationally, personally. And our condolences also go to our friends and colleagues of the NDC. It is not easy to lose a political associate. So our sympathies go to them. And for me, the litmus test for the second coming of President Mahama is how he tackles and resolves the Galamsey issue. And the fact that these people of government and military personnel lost their lives in trying to go and listen and to resolve this problem is significant. It should turn all our attention to this problem. It poses an existential threat to the people of Ghana. The world is losing water. Water is going to become very critical. And if we pollute our waters, there will be no water for us to drink. Already, women get pregnant spent 9 months and are giving birth to deformed babies. Women are having their reproductive systems and genes messed up by the pollution in the waters. Young people are dying of kidney problems. We cannot continue to let Galamsey go on.
What is the most important how he deals with this one?
The existential threat to Ghana now, 2025, is Galamsey. It's polluting our waters. We've lost about 50% of the production in cocoa because people are cutting their cocoa farms to do Galamsey. When we lose cocoa as an export crop, because soon the Americans are going to say that the arsenic residue and the mercury residue, heavy metal residue in our beans are such that they won't buy it. We would have lost one export. We have 3 exports: gold, cocoa, oil. We would have lost cocoa. Okay? So it's an existential threat. If you don't have water, you can't drink water. Maybe people in government can afford Evian water to drink. What about to wash? What about to bath? If you travel across Ghana now, it's disgraceful. All our waters are like chocolate drink, brown, dying. A lot of them are dead. There's no fish going through our waters. It's an existential threat, and the president should focus on it and resolve it. And this loss is a strong reminder that this problem needs to be tackled and resolved. We had suggested that there should be a complete freeze, a 3-month, 6-month freeze on all non-industrial gold mining, so that a presidential commission is set up to look into it, and once they come out, they will have social response. How do we solve the social problems from this? How do we solve the medical problems? How do we solve the agricultural problems? So it is critical, and this accident has forced all of us to refocus on it.
And this subject.
That's statesman and founding member of the New Patriotic Party, Kwame PNM there. So live on Hot Edition. We're back after this quick break with the latest in the world of business. This Michael Osai standing by.
Ghana, it's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596-920-833 or 0302-200-390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Hausa. Coming up tonight, Bank of Ghana reports 15% drop in bounced check issuance for 2024 amid intensified public sensitization and enforcement. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. The Bank of Ghana's 2024 credit reporting data has revealed a significant decline in the issuance of bounced checks, also known as DAT checks, with cases falling by over 15% compared to 2023. The central bank attributes the drop to sustained public sensitization on the legal and financial consequences of issuing DAT checks, as well as stricter enforcement of existing regulations. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details. The Bank of Ghana says the issuance of DAT checks in 2024 declined by 15.19% compared to the previous year. According to the Central Bank's 2024 credit reporting data, a total of 45,136 DAT checks were submitted by banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions to credit bureaus, down from 53,522 in 2023. DAT checks are those that cannot be honored due to insufficient funds in the issuer's account, and issuing them remains a criminal offense under the Bank of Ghana Act. The breakdown shows that DAT checks from individuals dropped from 10,655 in 2023 to 4,972 in 2024, while those from corporate customers saw a sharper decline from 42,867 to 14,455 over the same period. The regulator attributes the fall to intensified public awareness campaigns, growing use of credit reports by lenders, and stronger enforcement measures. The Bank of Ghana says it will continue to educate the public, sanction offenders, and collaborate with stakeholders to boost confidence in the check payment system. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on the Bank of Ghana, revealing that there is 15% drop in DAT check issuance for 2025. Meanwhile, searches on the database of credit bureaus increased by 114.6% in 2024. The Credit Reporting Activity 2024 has revealed. According to the report, these searches were conducted by financial institutions and other authorized users of the credit reference system. This significant increase is mainly the result of the growth in digital loans provided by previous lenders. And that brings us to the end of the business news on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Kausa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Bill Eshen is here for sports. Please stay.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Eshen and we are going to talk about a breaking story that just came in. A statement from Barcelona's goalkeeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen following some speculation about his injury. And I'm going to read out some key parts of the statement. Now, the decision to undergo surgery was made after consultation with medical professionals and fully approved by the club, and always with the intention of prioritizing my health and long-term sporting career, which of course are fully aligned with those of SCB, to have myself available on the pitch as soon as possible to keep winning trophies. Moreover, I announced publicly the minimum recovery timing that I shall need after that, which had been communicated to be by most reputed experts and always in coordination with the club. I would also like to clarify, in light of certain speculation, that all the club's signings and contract renewals were completed prior to my surgery, and therefore at no point could I consider that my unfortunate circumstances with the new surgery I had to undergo would be necessary for the registration of other colleagues who I greatly respect and look forward to share the locker room with for many seasons. Any alternative interpretation seems both unfair and inaccurate to me. And so according to multiple reports, Ter Stegen has been relieved of his duties as Barcelona's captain and following his injury. And also, for some context, he previously announced that his back injury would require a timeline of 3 months recovery, whilst Barcelona are reportedly looking to submit his medical report to La Liga to affirm that his injury will last 4 months, which will mean that he can register more players. And so this is the statement from Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. Bringing an end to sports here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen, and we bring an end to yet another edition of the Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. We'll see you same time on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend.